You're filming events wrong, and here is why. If you run events or retreats, and every time you finish, you're back to chasing people for the next one, you're leaving money on the table every single time. Because one event done properly should give you months of content and make your next event even easier to sell. But for most people, it doesn't. Not because the event isn't good, but because it's not being captured properly. And in this video, I'm gonna break down why this is happening and how to fix it properly. Let's make this real. We were brought in to capture Christy Renee Obb's Fascia Movement release class or event at Freebird Studio. On the surface, it's just a class, but that's exactly how most people get this wrong. Because from a content perspective, this isn't a class. This is a positioning asset, a trust building tool, a conversion engine. And if you don't see it like that, you'll never get real leverage from your event. And this is where it starts to break. Most event content fails before the camera even turns on. Let's look at a few problems. Problem number one, there is no intent. There is no plan, there is no narrative, there is no clarity on what the content needs to do after. So people show up with cameras and just hit record, but they're not thinking about what is this content for? Who is it for? What should it lead to? So what do they get? Random clips that don't connect and don't convert. Let's look at the problem number two. Surface capture. They only film what's visible. Wide shots, people moving, some close-ups, looks clean, but it has no meaning. There is no story, there is no emotional hook. So the audience watches it and keeps scrolling. And this is where it starts to break. So problem number three, there is no authority. This is a positioning problem. So there is no interviews, there is no explanation, there is no voice behind the work. So the person running the event never actually looks like the expert that they are. They just look like someone hosting something, and that kills positioning. Problem number four is there is no post strategy, like a business problem. The event ends and everything stops. Footage sits there is no structure, there is no plan, there is no system. So all of that effort creates no long-term value. And this is where it completely falls apart. So instead of your content being leveraged, it just becomes a waste. So how do we do it differently? We don't approach events like videographers. We approach them like operators. Step number one is we define the story. Before we even touch a camera, we define the narrative. For this event, it was release, reconnect, transformation, and authority. Now every shot has direction. Every moment has purpose. So if you skip this, everything else falls apart. Step two is pre-event capture. Now this is where most teams waste time, but we do not. We capture the empty space, the setup, the details, the atmosphere, the mats, lighting, environment. And why does this matter? Well, because this creates context. It lets the viewer step into the experience before it even begins. Without this, your content can fall flat. Step number three is during the event. This is the difference between content that looks good and content that actually sells. We're not just filming exercises. We're watching for micro expressions, moments of release, breathing shifts, human interactions. Most people would miss that moment because that is what sells. That's what makes someone watching think, I need to experience that. And this is what most people miss. Step number four, I said authority capture. This part is non-negotiable. We capture Christy explaining what she does, why it matters, what people are experiencing. Then we layer participant reactions, post-session reflections. This matters because now the audience understands what it is, why it works, why they should care. Without this, you just have nice aesthetic footage. Now, number five, behind the scenes, and almost no one does this properly. We capture ourselves working, not for ego, but for positioning. This matters because people see the setup, they see the movement, the intention, the scale of this person's business and event. With all that combined, they realize this is structured, this is repeatable, this is a system. This is the same approach we use across everything. From fight shows like Canggu Fight Night, which is high pressure, live broadcast, and one take, to smaller environments like Christy's event. Different environments, same principle. Story first, execution second. Because at the core, you're capturing emotion, you're building narrative. Let's look at the post-event system. This is where the real value is created. Most people think the job ends when the event finishes. Well, that's where ours actually begins. Now let's break that down. Step number 1 is structure. Everything gets backed up, organized, categorized immediately. Now nothing gets lost and everything is usable and easier to find. Step number 2 is content pillars. We don't edit randomly. We break content into authority, promotion, education, story. Now we're not guessing, we're building intentionally. Step number 3 is output. So one event can create 20 to 50 assets that run for weeks or months. Now step number 4 is long-term leverage. Now your next event becomes way easier to sell because you're not telling people anymore. You're showing them. You're showing them proof, experience, transformation every single time. The outcome isn't just content, it is leverage. Now your authority is way clearer. Your offer is visible. Your demand increases and your content keeps working long after the event ends. If your content stops working when the event ends, you didn't capture it properly. At Legacy, we build content that keeps working. If you've got an event coming up and you want to capture it properly, not just filmed, send us a message. We'll come in, direct the shoot, and capture everything. So you actually have content that can be used long after the event. Then if you want, we can turn it into a full content system. And if your event isn't based in Bali, you can hire us as the creative director. You can fly us out and we can run your event to make sure it's captured properly. So I would love to hear what you got from this video. Drop it in the comments. I would love to where it landed for you. Don't forget, always hit that like button. Definitely subscribe. We will always put out more videos and insights for content, production, and business. Other than that, I will see you in the next one.